Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video, we are going to see how blockchain works with a small example in Python. Before we get into actual coding, let's see a simple theory of how blockchain works so we understand what we are implementing. Let's say in this example, we'll use some basic cryptocurrency called as alpha coins, and I'll create three transactions. Let's say transaction 1 where Ali pays 2 coins to Selena. Transaction 2 which is Selena pays 1.5 coins to Fatima, and transaction 3 I'll create where we'll say Osman pays 3 coins to Selena. Now these are three transactions and we'll store this in a block, and this block we can name it as block 1. Now remember, this is the initial block, so it will not have any hash value from any of the previous blocks. I'll create a similar block and name it as block 2 and block 3. Now how this block gets connected into a chain, and that uses hash value. So block 1 will not have any hash value, but block 2 will have a hash value from block 1. And likewise, block 3 will have the hash value from block 2. And this forms a chain. So let's see this live in example, and I'll demonstrate how this works actually. I'll import hash library and I'll be using SHA-256 for hashing, creating a class alfacoin and initialize a constructor. In the constructor, we are going to use a self along with the previous hash, and we'll see the transaction list that we want to store and concatenate in the block. We'll initialize the values. Previous hash is equal to previous hash. Self dot transaction list. Now we'll create a concatenation. Now here you can choose to concatenate in the way you want. I'm just using a separator over here and joining it using this separator. You can choose how you want to do it as you wish. I'm just concatenating that whole transaction with the hash value and creating a block. And here I'm going to create a hash. As I said, I'm using SHA-256. Now let's create some transactions. I have a list. I'll just copy paste over here so that I don't waste time typing over here. So I've created 9 transactions. So we are going to create 3 blocks. In the first block, I'll be using alpha coin. This is our cryptocurrency that we're using in this example. Now here we can use any string. I'll just say first hash because we don't have any hash value from any previous blocks. Then I'll add a list of 3 transactions which I've mentioned about: transaction 1, transaction 2 and transaction 3. Now we'll print this block. How I'm going to print is, I'm going to print the block data, that is a transaction data, and I'm also going to create a hash value for this first block. Remember, every block in the chain is connected using a hash value, and this hash value becomes a value for a future block. So let's say second block, I'll use the same currency, and I'm taking the hash value of the previous block, that is the first block dot blockchain hash, and then concatenating the remaining transactions, the new transactions in this block, that is 4, 5 and 6. And now I'll print the values. So the second block data I'll print over here along with the second block's hash value. That's it. Now let's see the output, how it works. I'll open my terminal over here, clear this, and it's just right. So you see, this creates a hash value, and the first hash is what I gave as a string. Then it created a hash value for the second block, and in the second block it is using the hash value of the first block, C114F68, you remember, and that's a hash value that is storing. So that is how the first value is, that is how the second block is connected to the first block. Now I'm just creating third block as an example. I'll run it again. There you see, it's using this hash value of the previous second block, and that's how the block is connected in this chain. Now the interesting thing over here is, if I change any value over here, it will produce a radical change in the hash values. Let's see this. So I'll just change it to 1 instead of 1.5 and now run it again. Now check this. The entire hash value has changed. Just a small change in a single input will have a radical change in the output. And that is what blockchain is all about.